Well, I'd just like to say welcome everybody to the meeting this morning. We're having an artist information meeting for the 2nd Street Bridge and Extension, Shoal Creek to West Avenue, Art and Public Places project. Hereafter, I'll refer to it as 2nd Street Bridge because that's a mouthful. I am Sue Lambe. I'm the Art and Public Places coordinator for this project, for the art portion of this project. And I would ask you to come, when we have a question session at the end of our presentation, I would ask you to come to the table right in front of you and speak into the microphone so that we can hear it over the recording. We're not broadcasting today, but we are recording it to put on the web later so that artists who are not able to attend can hear the presentation and the responses to questions. With me today are several project managers with city and associated council people or panel people that have interests in the area. We've got Fred Evans, who's with Economic Growth and Redevelopment Services Office, Lynn Osgood, who is our Art and Public Places panel representative, and she's also a member of the Urban Parks Work Group, Cynthia Jordan, who is Public Works Project Manager for the New Central Library and for the overall 2nd Street Bridge Project, Ray Hernandez and Lance Vesca, who are with City of Austin Parks and Recreation Department, and we may have John Gillum and Crystal Peroni joining us later with Austin Public Library. So today we're going to be going over the context for this art opportunity, showing you the latest work happening in the Seahome district. We'll look at a possible location for the art, and then we'll review the art goals and criteria for selection. So, first we'll go to Fred, and he'll discuss the entire Seahome district and sort of give you an overview of what's happening around this opportunity for art.
Well, good morning. Excuse me. As Sue indicated, I'd like to help you understand the context of the proposed location or the potential location for the artwork. In this case, in the context of the larger Seahome district, this is an area of southwest quadrant of downtown that's undergoing intense redevelopment. And as you can see from this graphic that we produced for a town hall or for an open house meeting recently, there's over a dozen active projects in the area. When it's complete, this area will attract residents, visitors, library customers, bicyclists and pedestrians, families and children, shoppers, diners, and anyone else seeking entertainment and culture. This slide helps describe the location and the future context in a little greater detail. You'll see winding through on the lower left-hand side, the site is the Shoal Creek, and there's a shaded oval over Shoal Creek for the location of the new 2nd Street Bridge. On the west side of Shoal Creek, near the bridge location, will be the new Central Library project, and Cindy will be giving you more information on that, as well as to the northwest on the north side of 2nd Street, the existing Seahome substation, which will be enclosed by an art wall. And then behind both of those projects, the redeveloped Seahome power plant itself. On the east side of Shoal Creek, this graphic depicts a proposal for the redevelopment of Greenwater Treatment Plant, and we are expecting fairly dense development over there, bordering the creek, being retail, residential, and hotel components of the project. As you'll see, the proposed artwork will be in a heavily trafficked area at the confluence of the urban and natural environments in the redeveloped district. It's going to be at a very, very exciting place to be.
Next, we'll talk a little bit about the Art and Public Places panel intent, and I'll let Lynn Osgood speak to how we set up the goals and intents and what the intention is.
I'll first read the goals, just so those are out there. The first goal is that it be a unique work of contemporary art for the public, a dynamic and engaging for children and families, and that I'll talk a little bit more about, to function well within the context of the site and its surrounding land uses, and to create an artwork that is easily maintained and safe. So the reason that we're emphasizing the engaging for children and families is because of the larger context of development within the city. The city has always been very progressive in terms of trying to achieve sustainability goals. It is also focused very strongly on looking to develop a family-friendly city. These efforts started in 2007 and 2008 with the Children and Families Task Force, and then was later followed by the Urban Parks Work Group. And both of these efforts looked at what are the policies that are necessary to create a downtown and a larger built environment in which families and children feel safe, feel welcome, and are engaged. So with this particular project, we wanted to bring in those larger goals and take the opportunity for looking at not only creating a family, an engaging piece for the entire family at all city facilities, but specifically at this very civic institution of the library itself. And we thought this was a wonderful opportunity where that could happen. So that's really what we're looking at as a panel, is to really create something at this civic institution that would be for all families, specifically so that they would feel comfortable, welcome, and happy downtown.
So moving to the next slide, the other thing that I would like to point out to you is this piece of public art will be in good company. We have 3 other pieces of public art in the planning stages for the Seahome district right now. First is Nader Tarani's Seahome's substation art wall, and the images that you see here are the schematic design for this. He is proposing engaging this wall with light in particular, and creating a sculptural effect by using common materials in uncommon ways. He's proposing using concrete masonry unit, metal mesh, and vertical timbers, all that are able to be locally sourced and sustainably produced in accordance with City of Austin's sustainability goals. And the aspect of light is also something that he's considering, lighting equipment on the inside of the substation to show sculptural features that are inside the power equipment, lighting that as well. So that will be an important component of his work. Next, we have a piece that is in the possibilities. It's not necessarily certain that it will happen, but it is possible that on the decommissioned Seahome power plant stacks, Ned Kahn will be doing a piece. He's considering doing something that would make wind more visible as it moves past the stacks, as seen in these portfolio pieces here. Something in smaller scale than what you see here, but that's the possibility there. And then third, we have a piece planned for the new Central Library. Christian Muller was selected from 3 finalists. The work here shown is reflecting his proposal to the selection panel. It is not necessarily the final design for the art. The artist has not yet started design work for the project. What it's showing is 37-foot high artwork, 16-foot wide, and it's got an LED panel centered in it that would be a visual kinetic piece that would display blackbirds. He was very inspired by the blackbirds that he saw around Austin and wanted to engage them in his piece. So this artwork that is for you today for the 2nd Street Bridge will be in good company with all the other public art that's planned for the area. Next, I'll move to discussing the bridge itself, and I'll turn that over to Cynthia Jordan to give us a little bit of background on that.
Good afternoon. As part of this redevelopment for the district, once the library was chosen to be placed in that southeast section across from where currently is any roadway, it was determined that in order to have the connectivity, that we were going to have to build a new bridge over Shoal Creek at 2nd Street. And the city had preliminarily pursued a different alternative bridge design, but we chose to reevaluate the impact to Shoal Creek and the creek itself as a waterway in the city and as a flood venue. It really is flood control, and so we chose to revise the bridge design. What you see here is called a butterfly arch, and it will be clear spanning of Shoal Creek with that will be constructed on both sides, but hopefully it will be able to provide the connectivity that we want from all the way at the convention center end of 2nd Street all the way to the Seahome power plant facility. Currently, we are in preliminary design on this bridge style, and where we are right now is working on some hydraulic analysis of how the bridge design is going to impact Shoal Creek. We are really excited about the concept as it is placed in the district. The next slide actually shows you a view of what the bridge will look like as you're walking across on the pedestrian side of the bridge. It is removed from the actual vehicular portion by a section so the light will go down into the creek and you can look over the sides and down at the creek. The construction is about 550 linear feet, with the bridge being about 250 feet itself. So part of what we're doing with this extension of 2nd Street, at least from the east bank of Shoal Creek all the way to West Avenue, is we're creating what we're calling a festival street or a Warnoff. And what this is, it's a Dutch word actually that stands for a pedestrian and cyclist friendly street. It allows shared uses for everybody. If we want to choose to close the street to do a festival, it will be very, very pedestrian friendly because there will no longer be any curb and gutter. It's all going to be flat. There'll be a ribbon curb to deal with the water, but it's not going to be a normal street. We'll have bollards to separate the pedestrians from the vehicular. And we're really excited about this. And Sue added some really great pictures of ideas of how these streets are constructed.
Next, Cindy is also the project manager for the new Central Library, and so we're going to look at some schematic design images from that project.
Yeah, these images were produced by the consultant team of Lake Flato, Shepley, Bulfinch, Richardson, and Abbott. It's a joint venture of 2 firms, one from San Antonio, one from Boston. And these are the images we presented to City Council in October. And this image is taken or is produced as if you're standing right at the edge of the Cesar Chavez Bridge, right there adjacent to where Shoal Creek. And so this would be the southeast corner of the library. And you can see where the Lance Armstrong Bikeway and the pedestrian, the trail, are convening there adjacent to the library space. You'll see a plan view later on of where the potential art location is. So this is this view. The next view is a view from the 2nd Street Bridge. So this would be the 2nd Street front door to the library is behind the trees there that isn't actually visible. But then to the left at the bottom is where will the park and the trail and the Lance Armstrong Bikeway are. So that's that view. It's a 6-story building with a roof garden that you can see from this last little photograph. So there'll be really great places to be. This is the schedule. The schedule for the bridge. We hope to start construction where we will be finished in the winter the construction begins in the fall, winter of 2013. Mm-hmm. We hope to start the bridge before the library project, but we'll have to make sure that one is not on top of each other. So that's how we're working this. We hope to be finished with the bridge by the end of 2015. At the same time, we're going to be finished with the library. So everything, hopefully, all the roadway and the library will all be finished about the same time. And then we hope to open the library the spring of 2016. So, that was yours.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So next, we're going to look at the Lance Armstrong Bikeway, the Shoal Creek area. which is adjacent to the location that we're talking about for the Art and Public Places work here. And I'm going to turn it over to Ray and Lance just to walk you a little bit through that that area. Can you just describe what we're looking at in this image?
Thanks for coming this afternoon. The plan on the, I guess would be the left-hand side of the screen, the smaller of the two, is a nice contextual map because it's illustrating to you a great deal of the green open spaces that PART has, where there are a lot of users and a lot of different types of users. There are cyclists, there are runners, there are walkers, there are people with strollers and so forth. The larger map gives you a really good enlargement of just how all of these different kinds of users are going to be coming together at this particular location. The AIPP site is actually just a little bit to the west of the main Lance Armstrong bike path that leads into the Shoal Creek trail area that heads up north. And then it connects to Peace Park and all of those other parks further north of the city. The Lance Armstrong Parkway, I believe this is the western or the easternmost section of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is where a lot of people come off of Shoal Creek and get onto the Lance Armstrong Parkway. There's a lot of topography that needs to be taken into account and in consideration. There's, of course, the stream bed itself, and then there's the bank, and then the bikeway, and then the library grounds.
I just want to clarify that we do talk about the library quite often in this, even though this project is associated with the 2nd Street Bridge project, because it is going to be, they are tucked right next to each other, as you can see from this image. We're looking at it at the bridge as if we're standing on top of the library. So they are right next to each other, and the call that we have open that you're all here for is for art that is in proximity to the bridge, but we are not expecting it to be mounted directly onto the bridge. I just want to clarify that because I have gotten some questions on that already. And I put this slide back in at this point just to show you that Shoal Creek Trail does run directly under the 2nd Street Bridge, and it snugs right up against the library. So it will be a way that site users will be able to access the Art and Public Places art. They will be coming via the Lance Armstrong Bikeway and the Shoal Creek Trail in part. And then we have this slide in to help clarify the potential for engaging children in an interactive art piece versus the notion of play and engaging children in play. And I was hoping that either Ray or Lance could help differentiate for you what the difference is and what it means when we're encouraging children to play on a sculpture. So,
can I say something? Okay. PART has recently gone into great lengths in trying to incorporate some of the studies that were done, and I know Lynn Osgood was heavily involved in that, in trying to incorporate some form of play feature, play structures within the urban core in downtown Austin. And in doing so, what that has done in relationship to designing of these spaces is that it has brought a new level of technical abilities on our part to make that connection with what future trends are being done in other cities and obviously here in Austin as well. So this particular piece, in terms of its playability by children and families and so on, is important to PART, that there should be some component of that type of play with it. So as we work together on this, we'll obviously have to determine what level of play that is. And one of the reasons why Lance is here is so that he can describe to you some of the limitations, if you will, of heights and fall zones and things like that that have to be taken into account.
Um, the as for heights, what comes into play with heights is just the type of surfacing that's below the piece. Because if children are, if it's intended for children to be climbing on it and that child could possibly fall off of it, there has to be a proper type of safety surfacing below it. Like in our playgrounds, we have to have wood fiber if the fall is over 6 feet. And then you could use other types. The handbook that is shown here shows gives details on what type of surfacing can be used for whatever fall height is attainable. And it also tells you the depth of that material. So like on a playground where you have over a 6 foot fall height, the wood fiber has to be about 12 to 15 inches deep. 9 inches is the baseline, and then if there's going to be fasteners, the fasteners have to be can't have any catch points on them to where a child can get caught, strangle themselves, get a string from their clothing or something like that caught onto it. So they need to have smooth sides like a carriage bolt or something like that. And if washers are used, the washers have to be formed around whatever so they don't create any entanglements. And then gaps. The gaps on playgrounds, like spaces between bars or spaces between certain objects, they have to be they have to be smaller than 3.5 inches or greater than 9 inches. Anywhere in between is considered an entrapment, to where a child can get a part of their body into it, but they won't be able to get, like if their waist was to fall through a hole, if it was smaller than 3.5, a small toddler could get in that hole, but their head wouldn't fit through. And then also if it's greater than up to 9 inches, which is the older kids. That's so between 3.5 to 9 inches, you want to stay out of that range. Make it either larger or smaller.
So,
If I could
oh yeah,
just,
please.
add some things. And so I think taking what Ray was saying, it's a very sort of new area that everyone will be working in, because traditionally playscapes are very regulated. There's a reason that many of them look very similar, is because they all fit within regulation and code. So what we're asking for here is an engaging piece of art. It doesn't necessarily, that does not mean children have to climb on it. That's the artist's decision. How it is engaged, that's something you all have to decide. But if you do go down that area, just be aware that it is a very regulated area, and it's a challenge, and it's a good challenge. This is exactly what we need to do as a city to figure out how we can make these spaces both safe and wonderfully engaging for kids and families.
Thank you. That was the clarification I was looking for.
Oh, okay.
Thanks. Yep. This slide is intended to show you the opportunity for the art. This is the plan view of the library with Shoal Creek to the right, where you see all the green and the brown lines. Those are intended to show that there's a great deal of grade change there, but another slide will depict that more clearly. The area that is in pink is the area that's been defined so far as the opportunity for art in public places art. This does not mean that this is the place that you must do this if you are the selected artist. The intention is that the selected artist will work with both the 2nd Street Bridge design team and the library design team to come up with an appropriate location, an appropriate sort of layout for your art. If it's something that is a sequential piece, you're thinking about moving along a path or something, that can be accommodated. We just need to work together with these design teams to figure out how that might work. This is a section provided by the 2nd Street Bridge landscape architect. Again, I just want to reiterate that all the design work that you're seeing in this area is conceptual in nature. This is not a definite that everything is going to look this way. All these projects are at the very beginning of design phases. So, but this is the best notion so far of what that area might look like. And so we're looking at a section which is just sort of a cut through of that area that the art could be located in. And it shows you that there's a 12 to 13 foot difference in grade between 2nd Street and where the bike porch on the backside of the library lets out. And so this shows the idea of having a plaza in the back, which would be, and a wall that retains the soil between 2nd Street and the bike porch elevation level, that would be landscaped and would have stonework such as you see in the lower, the image in the lower right corner. That's the concept there. And so that would be the location for the art that's currently considered. I pulled this image one more time to show you that this also is where the location is in this graphic. That would be the location that we were just showing you in the plan earlier. So just to give you an idea of what's being considered right now. And again, another view of the library and showing you where that location is again, just to show you the best images that we have right now of what that site would look like. If you were to walk out there today, which you can't because it's an active construction site, but if you were to walk out there today, it would look nothing like what it's expected to look like when your piece would go in. It's all going to be changed quite a bit. So these are the best images that we have to let you understand what the site will be like. And so moving on to the public art intent and goals. Lynn did read these to you earlier, the text in red, but I wanted to give you a little bit more review from the RFQ itself. So we're seeking to obviously commission a work of art here, and we always ask that it be of redeeming quality that advances public understanding of visual art and enhances the aesthetic quality of public places. We will be looking at this piece during the selection panel. Will be charged to look at this as how does this add to the collection for the city of Austin. The artwork is intended to serve as a lively and engaging piece for the community of Austin, and the exact scope and location will be based on the artist's vision and discussions between the artist and the design teams. And I just want to point out that due to challenges for the maintenance of the artwork, only artwork of substantial durability and low maintenance needs will be considered. In this call right now, we are asking for your qualifications. We're not asking for proposals, but I do want you to note that we have to have low maintenance artwork. We just don't have budget as a program for maintaining intricate pieces. So if you're considering interactivity, I hope you will keep that in mind. Next we have the budget, and the maximum amount of $166,000 is the budget for this project, and it includes all aspects of design, installation, and fabrication, and it includes the coordination that'll be required with the 2 different design teams that have projects in this area. And just to reiterate, only professional visual artists at least 18 years of age that reside in Texas are eligible to apply. So our evaluation criteria, this is very standard for the Art in Public Places program. Typically, we like to see a body of work that has a depth of artistic merit. We look for strong conceptual skills and the ability to communicate those concepts well so that others can understand. We look for the ability to collaborate well with staff, with design and engineering professionals, with stakeholders, and with contractors. We do look at your past body of work and your resume to assess whether there's a probability of successful execution and completion of the project. We do hope that your qualifications are appropriate to the project, and we do expect that some projects that you'll be bringing to our attention through your application may have a similar scope or appropriate focus that would help us understand that you're right for this commission. The deadline, as you probably are all aware, is February 13th at 5 o'clock. That's a Monday. In red, it says late applications are not accepted. Oftentimes, we have artists emailing at the very last minute because they waited until the last minute to apply through our system, which we call ASAP. It's the Application System for Art and Public Places Projects. It's not an easy system to negotiate. I'll own that. It's not easy. And so I would really urge you not to wait to the last minute to apply. I don't want to get an email from you at 5:01 saying, I couldn't get ASAP to work. It would break my heart. I'm just hoping that you guys will do it earlier so that we have the opportunity to deal with any problems that you might have. My phone number and my email address are located on the RFQ. Feel free to call me and feel free to email me if you have issues. So we need you to apply through the ASAP system online, and you'll have to set up a registry profile through that. You'll be able to upload as many as 40 images, but for this call, we're limiting you to 15 images to review. And if you are applying as part of a team, you also are limited to 15 images for the team altogether. So you'll be having one lead artist apply if you're applying as part of a team. You will be able to put their partner resumes in with your application, and you will be able to pull a total of 15 images from all partners for your application. Your letter of interest is limited to 2,000 characters. We've had feedback before that this isn't enough, but unfortunately this is our system, so I'm going to ask that you do your best to be concise and succinct. Typically we do ask for a notion of your thoughts related to this call and why it particularly is a good fit for you. This is your opportunity to tell us why you are the person that should be selected for this commission. So feel free to expand on why you are the person that should have this commission. And this is the schedule for the selection process. Today is the artist information meeting. The deadline, of course, is February 13th at 5 o'clock. We have a tentative date of February 24th for the selection panel to convene. That would give us time to get this in front of the Art and Public Places panel and the Arts Commission in March, and then hopefully getting council to authorize contract negotiation in April. So that is the schedule. It's also subject to change depending on how quickly the selection panel makes its deliberations. And so right now I'd like to open it to questions, and I would remind you to come on up to the microphones that you see in front of you to ask questions so that people who are listening on the web can hear your questions as well.
Hi, my name is Barna Cantor, and I have a question about the PARD handbook that you were mentioning. Is it online?
The Playground Safety Handbook?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's CPSC. If you type in CPSC guidelines, it should bring it up on the internet.
And I have a question for Lynn. You mentioned this is like a new territory.
Uh-huh.
But are you saying that the regular rules for playscape regulations don't apply, or they apply even more? Or?
They definitely apply. They always apply. We can't get around it. What the new territory is that the city is looking at creating these active, engaging spaces in a way that both recognizes the rules as they exist, but tries to do things that are not your typical playscape. You know, it's not about slides and
correct. I see what you mean.
All that. So Yeah, it's really trying to bridge to push the envelope of what is engaging for families and children. How do we think of that, and how do we understand that?
And my final question is for Susan. What do you think, how large is this area, this pink area exactly? 10 by 10, 20 by 20?
No, it's larger than that. I would say.
But it really is up for discussion with the selected artists, because there are a lot of constraints in this area. One that Susan didn't bring up, but we have an overhead electric easement that Austin Energy has mandated, so none of this piece can be underneath that easement. So, but I think what she has identified is much larger than 10 by 10. You know, it's almost a 20 by 20 space.
We're not asking you to engage that entire space. We're just suggesting that there's probably a 35 by 40 foot space that's been identified as an opportunity, but the nitty gritty is going to have to be worked out with the design team.
Yeah, and so there's a huge grade between the road that comes off of the 2nd Street and this area, right?
Yes.
Okay. And there's no communication between the two, according to the drawing.
Intend to have any? No.
Oh.
I mean, there's if you look at the plan, there's a stairwell directly to the east of it. I mean, it may be hard to understand, but if you go...
Which goes under the bridge.
No, this is actually from the 2nd Street streetscape. There's a monumental stair that goes around and comes down right there adjacent to this area. So it's not directly behind the open space. Well, I know the people that are listening won't hear, but... Okay.
Cindy is going over to identify the stairs on the plan.
This comes down like this and here. So then it ties into the trail as you're coming around. So people walking across 2nd Street or coming out of the library and want to go down to the trail will come down these stairs. And then this is the space that we're talking about.
What's that height difference?
This to this is probably 12, 13.
The question was, what's the height difference between the 2nd Street and the AIPP location? Is about 12 to 13 feet high difference in height. The power line easement goes right next to it.
Permanent structure for interaction that will allow us to walk through, just like there's one there now and you walk down the trail now.
Good afternoon. My name's David Strohmeyer. I had a couple of questions. On the selection process, are you planning to narrow that down to a single artist, or will there be a due process?
We are intending it to be either a single artist or a single artist team.
Okay. And let's go back to the engagement question, because you have me a little baffled on that. Because the concept of engaging children seems to be a little bit at odds with having an important contemporary piece of art, and also in terms of maintenance issues. So how do you intend to address those issues?
I can say,
what is your priority, I guess?
Right. I don't think it necessarily has to be in conflict with high contemporary art. I think children can be connoisseurs of that as well as the educated.
Well, all good art is engaged, at least visually.
Exactly.
Perhaps kinesthetically, but physically is another question.
Right. So, that's the challenge here. It is a gray area, and it's not necessarily an easy answer or a direct one, or one that's immediately before us. That is the challenge. But we know as a city, we really need to do that. That we need to have these pieces that a child would love, that a family would feel comfortable around, and in some way want to go to, identify with in some way. In terms of the maintenance, again, that is also a difficult question, and I think we're also in a gray area. This is very supported by council, but AIPP does not traditionally have a budget for ongoing maintenance. I think we have to see what emerges with the idea that going in, no, we can't have elaborate maintenance, and work towards that as much as possible.
I see children almost as a definition of wear and tear.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I could see happening is the artist may imagine that their work would not be engaged physically, that is, kids climbing on it.
Right.
And yet, it may be invited. People do behave in ways that are quite unpredictable at times.
I think all of public art, to some degree, has to be, it has to be durable. It's out there in the public sphere. If a 7-year-old goes up to it, he's going to try to climb it, no matter what it is, whether it's appropriate or not. We just have to go forward with the idea that it is engaging in some way, whatever way that you as an artist feels that is most appropriate, and then function within the public realm.
Good afternoon, I'm Elise Sibley. I was wondering, what are your stipulations or regulations, restrictions for an artist team? You said you have to have one team leader, or is there a limit to how many people can be involved in the team, or?
It's not just to clarify, it's not necessarily a team leader. It's just that the application has to go in under one artist. You can organize your team as any way you like. Typically, I think the ASAP system allows for 4 partner resumes to be attached to one application. That's what I recall. If you have more team members than that, you can email me or call me, and we can discuss how we would accommodate that in the system. But that's our standard. So you'd have less than that as well. That's fine. Is that clear?
Yes. That's
okay.
Clear. Okay.
Right.
And all of the partners involved would need to be Texas residents.
We have had discussions in the program on that. It's our preference that they are all Texas residents. We don't have a clear. If the majority of the artists are on the team are Texas residents, and they feel very strongly about bringing somebody from outside the state, we can talk about that. And I would like to visit with you about it if that's your intent. But typically, we do ask for Texas residents only on a call when we stay within the state.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Brent Baker. Question, assuming that there is a potential landscape architect and engineering team for the 2nd Street extension project, as well as the bridge, as well as a landscape architect and engineer team for the Shoal Creek extension, and the same for the library, are the designs so far set that there would be any collaboration between that, or would the art be in a total silo on its own, or would there? I'm talking about limiting budget. You have a limited budget. There's an opportunity if the designs, weren't concrete enough, potentially working with those design teams to come up with and where you'd have a budget for projects, but potentially that the teams together collectively that, maybe a hardscape element may be part of this budget, but included in part, and so that collectively as a whole come to a unified. Is that so? My question is: are the designs so far set that there wouldn't be any collaboration with the existing, existing design teams to make sure that your piece for this area or the potential provide a different area that would work?
Yeah, I see where you're going. I think, Cindy, you have a response, right?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, the design, I want to keep the library out of the discussion, but everything for the 2nd Street, the trails, which is where this piece is tied to, mostly the trail system in where the Lance Armstrong Bikeway and the actual pedestrians are going to be adjacent to the library. That is not finalized. We are doing hydraulic analysis right now to see whether or not the layout that you see today is actually even feasibly able to be built with the watershed regulations. So there is some point of discussion with that. But please understand, all our budgets are very tight. So it would have to, so we can't just open the door and write a big check to say do a lot of what you're talking about, but there is opportunity for collaboration with the designers for the 2nd Street Bridge and the trail improvements.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further questions? Well, I thank you very much for coming today. I appreciate your attention. I do understand that this is a challenge, the notion of engaging children and families, low maintenance, and something fairly durable. But I'm really excited to see what your letters of intent will reveal about what the possibilities are. So thanks very much for coming, and feel free to call me or email me with any questions as you're working through the system to apply. Yes? Mm-hmm.
Where would we call or email?
My phone number is 512-974-7852. And email is Susan, SUSAN, Lambe, LAMBE on the end, at austintexas.gov. If there are no more questions, I will close the meeting. Thanks very much for coming, everyone.